You can take some flour, some eggs, a bit of cheese, and we can construct something as beautiful as that. This is my duck egg ravioli, but we're going to make the pasta from the very beginning. We're going to build that ravioli with ricotta, spinach and duck egg, and we're going to serve it with a pine nut, brown butter and sage sauce. It's a good one. Grab a cup of tea, sit back and enjoy. The ingredients for this fantastic recipe: we've got pasta dough, homemade pasta dough. We've got some duck eggs. These are just the yolks that have been taken out and dropped in water to hold on to them like that for us. These are toasted pine nuts, sage and butter. That's for the sauce. Spinach for the ravioli. And in this little bag here is whipped ricotta, the finest ricotta we can buy, seasoned with salt, pepper and lemon and popped into a bag. That's it. Little cutter, bit of knife, some willpower. Here we go. Okay, so I always make pasta dough in a machine like this, which is like a Magimix but a Robo Coupe. I always use this flour, particularly. I've used it for probably more years than most of you have had on you. That's a kilo of flour, goes straight in there. This is 00 flour, that's really important. If you don't use that, you're definitely not making pasta. That goes in the machine, and the machine goes on and it spins, and I quite like it to spin for a minute. I think it works the pasta a little bit, works the flour, gets the gluten moving, gets a bit of temperature in there, that's all good. Let that go. In here is eggs. That's 18 egg yolks and 5 whole eggs. However, in the recipe below, in the link, you'll see there's a weight. It's very important to go to the weight, not the number of eggs, because egg sizes change and the weights are different, and if you get it wrong, it's a bit of a mess. But you still need to use a little bit of common sense and a bit of heart and soul and follow this method to get the best result of the pasta dough. Give those eggs a really good mix up. There's nothing else in there, no salt, no olive oil, nothing. That just goes in quite slowly, almost like making a mayonnaise. Drizzle it in really nicely. Then you need to get quite friendly with the machine. That's quite important. So I'm just letting that machine make sure it equally blends that. We're looking for a texture of this dough to be like couscous, actually. Sort of very small little granules of pasta dough. We want that pasta to be workable through a hand machine. Equally, we want it to be tight enough to give us that lovely texture and form of the pasta dough at the end. So in that goes. I'm just shaking the machine because it will try and hold on to the eggs at the bottom. And I need to move that egg around. Perhaps a bit unorthodox. Okay, there we go. So it doesn't come together like a dough. It shouldn't do that, and if it does do that, you're probably in the trouble. So like that, take it off and we can just knead that together now. Move that guy out of the way. What you want to do, tip that out, lose that, and then just get involved and just bring that together. Don't need to do too much kneading because I've got a little trick up my sleeve with this as well. Nice bright yellow. Use rich egg yolks. We use the St. Hughes or the cackle bean egg yolks. We really love that rich egg yolk colour that we get from the pasta. I don't love pasta that just looks translucent, and that's lovely. Right, that is enough. We don't need to knead that more than that. What we need now is a couple of vac pack bags. And I'm now going to vacuum pack that in a machine and compress it all together. If you don't have a vacuum pack machine at home, why would you? Then just use a piece of cling film, wrap it up really tightly, pop it in the fridge, give it 2 hours just to relax before you use it. So I don't need to use all that pasta dough. I'm just gonna cut that through. Hang on to that, just keep it covered, otherwise it will dry out and become very unusable. Keep it as flat as you can, set the machine as thick as you can, and then just start to fold through. And then slowly bring the pasta thickness down as you're going, and we're working this pasta dough now as much as we are folding through. And like I said, any pasta dough like this Any pasta work you're going to do is an absolute pleasure to do. It's one of the best jobs in the kitchen by far if you've got good pasta dough. If you have terrible pasta dough, it's the worst job. And that's not my saying, that's somebody called Phil Howard, who I reckon makes probably the best pasta of any English chef in London. So there you go. Taught me as well all those years ago. And we always make pasta. Pasta is a beautiful thing. We love making raviolis, all chefs do. Quite a sort of processy thing, quite tricky. They look impressive. They also carry, as a vehicle, flavour really beautifully. Angelotti, ravioli, tortellini, they all carry flavour, and that's a beautiful thing. So, if you notice, I'm folding through, I'm rolling it all the way down, then folding it back, turning it and rolling it the other way. Like you would, I guess, making puff pastry or something like that. Just keep going. In theory, I go down really thin about 3 times, just to create that really lovely silkiness, to work that pasta until I've got lovely texture going on. Just join up the 2 bits, roll them, push them together, make a full circle like that, and then just roll through. Don't know if it's any quicker, looks a bit daft to me. People seem to like it. What's important really actually is that pasta's super silky and keeps that way. And just keep working it through, keep dialing down the thickness of that so it just gets bigger and bigger. Longer and longer. Very good workout for the arms as well, always good. Bit of a sweat on a day like this. So what I'm doing, I'm making sure that the pasta is rolled to a thickness that I'm really happy with to then make the ravioli. But at the moment it's not about that. At the moment it's about working that dough, folding it down and getting the work rate through the pasta dough. So I've got that silky texture, nice and smooth. Really happy with that now. I'm going to basically block that into manageable pieces like so. There we go. That's then going to go back through the other way one more time. When you look at the price of that ravioli now on the menu and think, God, it's so expensive, maybe you realise why. Got a thickness there, nice thickness of that pasta. I'm going to keep it like that. That's the thickness I want. This can go back through. Okay, so that's the sort of thickness that I'm looking for to cut my pasta discs out to make my raviolis. So I take a disc that's going to be smaller than the actual ravioli, and I basically stamp all these out. What's important is to keep these discs nice and moist, not let them dry out. If they dry out, you'll have a world of pain. So let me doing that. You can do that in advance, you can do that the day before, not a problem, but you need to start about there. Okay, right, to make these lovely raviolis, take some discs, take off our cling film, make sure we've got everything ready to go beforehand. Okay, so now we start back on the machine again, go one way and then we go the other. that there, a little bit of semolina to stop it sticking. That's the base of our ravioli. All we need to do then is just put a cutter on top. Pipe our lovely ricotta. This has been aged and hung, so it's nice and dry, and that's delicious. Delicious ricotta. Drop that off. We do. Let's take our lovely spinach inside. Make sure there's a well there. Enough, stable enough to hold our egg yolk. That's a duck egg yolk, so nice and big. Give us that real lovely ooze out at the end. Make sure you season that. Then we take a disc for the top and we go through. Like so. So we're trying to just make sure we're getting out any air bubbles, squeeze really nicely, and just use your thumbs to basically connect the two pasta, the top and the bottom. That's one's thin and one's thick. Connect the two, and just take a nice big cutter and then pull that in and push it down to seal the ravioli like so. And then we take a nice big cutter like so. Yeah. So here's the sauce for the ravioli of ricotta, spinach and duck egg. I'm going to make a little beurre noisette. Salted French butter into a medium heated pan. In goes the sage leaves. They're going to pop and sizzle. Really beautiful. And then we're going to turn that into an emulsion with a little bit of water and let that come together as an emulsion. Into that's going to go some toasted pine nuts, like so. This is going to be the perfect accompaniment to our egg yolk ravioli. Let that come back up. Brown butter, toasted pine nuts, toasted sage, and a little bit of water. A little bit of salt in there, just to make sure that's nice and seasoned. A little bit of black pepper. That's the perfect sauce. The smell of that is absolutely incredible. That is my duck egg ravioli, ricotta, spinach, brown butter, pine nuts, and crispy fried sage. What an absolutely delicious thing. I never found be a maze. You can take some flour and some eggs, a bit of cheese, and we can construct something as beautiful as that, as elegant and as simple as that. That's so rich and so delicious, and the pine nuts are to die for. That's why it's a winner. Enjoy.